Hey everybody! It's been a while since I've been on YouTube, but here I am. My name is Leah O'Neill. I'm on the 2018 Simple Stories Carpe Diem creative team. I have gotten a request for this video where I show you how to make a custom notebook cover for your traveler's notebook. One thing I like to do whenever I switch, sometimes I like to switch up my traveler's notebook, almost like changing its outfit. And I really want to do a more Halloween themed traveler's notebook for October. So I'm going to make this another cover like this, but to match the Halloween themed decor that I've got going on. So I'm picking out the notebooks that I want to switch over into this traveler's notebook. And I'm going to cover most of them with the Halloween paper from the Simple Vintage Halloween collection. But for this video, I kind of want to focus on the notebook cover that I want to make for this monthly that is going to go toward the front of my planner. I like to decorate this one and the front one to embellish it a little bit more, but for the other ones, sometimes I'll do something simple like what you just saw, where I might clip a photo or something on there just to make it a little more special, but I focus the more embellished covers for the front of the traveler's notebook. So I'm going through these beautiful papers in this collection. And one thing I want to make sure that, because I'm going to decorate this one a little bit more heavily, I want to try to choose a more neutral pattern, something with a very minimal pattern, because even though these papers are so gorgeous, some of them, they would be a little too busy to serve as a background. So I'm going to start with something a little more simple. I really like this light colored bat paper because I'm thinking some watercolor on this is going to be amazing. So I'm going to start with this one, and I'm just going to show you really quickly this process. It's so easy. So I just put my notebook on there to measure the height, and then I make a mark on it. And then I'm going to trim down this 12 by 12 paper. And what you have left is what becomes your notebook cover. So I fold that in half. And then I just fold these pieces over now to kind of overlap the front and back cover of the notebook. Now, the reason I like to do it this way is because I like to make the notebook covers interchangeable. So after October, I can move back to my other cover if I want to, or design a new one, and I don't have to throw them out. I get to reuse them. So I'm folding this here, and it stays pretty well on its own, but if you want to secure it a little bit more while you have it on there, a little paper clip or something there on the edge will help it stay in place even more. So I definitely am envisioning some watercolor here, and I want to do this part without having my actual notebook in there because I don't want to get any paint on it. Now this is my Jane Davenport Neutral Palette watercolors, and I'm just mixing some orange paint here that kind of matches the colors in the collection. I'm going to do kind of a few different variations with a little bit of the darker orange and a little of the lighter. And I'm using a easy technique called the packaging technique. You've probably seen it before. It's just a piece of plastic packaging. I am painting with a water brush onto the plastic and with the paint, and adding a little water, and then just smushing it down onto the paper. You can use a gesso or something underneath this. It'll let you kind of work the paint around before it sinks in, but I didn't feel like doing that right now. So it kind of absorbs into the paper pretty quickly, and I'm not worried about making this perfect. It's really meant to be pretty messy. It's the look I'm going for. And then for now, I'm going to start figuring out how I want to decorate this. And I'm just going to tear off some of these pattern papers that I want to use. And you're just going to see a little bit of my process here. It's never as simple. I always, debate whether I should edit some of these portions out. And, I decide against some of it. I mean, I will edit out some of the parts that take longer, but for this, I think it's important to see that it is a creative process. I like to lay things down, and if they don't look the way that I want them to, sometimes I peel them back up. And I'm using some of the washi tape. This is some of the washi tape that comes in the Simple Vintage Halloween collection. And this is the 12 by 12 cardstock stickers. But you can see right here, I'm not liking how that looks. So I'm just going to rip it off. And fortunately, I didn't really rip the paper. But if I did, I don't really care because I'm going to cover it up with these paper scraps anyway. So I'm just kind of using some of the scraps that I have torn off of some of the 12 by 12 papers that I've used. And I'm just layering them one on top of the other. Right now I'm trying to get my layers right, and I'm also brainstorming, you know, what am I going to make the focal point on this cover. And I love this spider web. This is something I usually would do with like some floral stickers, but I kind of love how that spider web, I just cut it in half and have it peeking out of the top and bottom. I do that with doilies sometimes too. And this is one of the 12 by 12 element sheets, but I've cut them apart and I'm just playing around with the decor and trying to figure out what I want to use. These are some of the die cuts. I just am not liking how those look. I'm going through, these are some of the 4x6 stickers. I really like these. They're with the little tabs, but they almost do a lot of the layering for you already. So you get that layered effect, but you don't have to do a lot with it. I'm such a fan of this plaid right here. I love how that kind of brings it. It tones down all the patterns that were there. And I really am I didn't like how much of the paint was being covered up, but I also just wasn't liking how everything was laying on the paper, and something about turning it sideways just seemed to click for me a little bit more. It allowed some of that paint to peek out and allowed the background to show more. And then it lines up perfectly. I wanted to use this chipboard piece from the chipboard stickers, and laying all of the pattern paper sideways like this just provided a much better background. And I'm going to staple that all in place. And now I can still layer some things if I want to. And now just taking my fingernail and roughing up these edges. I really want to give that textured, layered look. There's no rhyme or reason to this. The more the paper tears, the better. This piece didn't make it under the stapler, so just gluing it down. And then I debated I wanted to ink these edges, and I just wasn't feeling like, I couldn't find my little sponge dauber, so I took a risk here and started using some paint to start going around. I wanted to add some contrast to the edges of these layers to make them pop off the background a little. And at first, when I started doing this, I started thinking, oh no, I've made a mistake. I don't like how this looks. But I just kind of kept messing with it and smudging out the edges. I mean, if it became too harsh of a line, I noticed that I didn't really care for it. So you'll see me keep working at this to try to smooth out those edges a little bit. And sometimes this is how it works. Sometimes, you know, you gotta know when you should say stop. And I usually don't know where to draw that boundary. So I just kept working. At this point, I was too far in. I just had to keep going until I got it looking a way that I liked. And there's some more I'm gonna do here. I wanna just add some black splotches. Just let them fall freely and then dab some of the excess off. And now I would just kind of want to work those edges a little bit more, because where some of the black paint was a little harsh, I think it helped to rough up the edges again. And I just want to take a pen. Am I there yet? Yes. And I want to trace around that spider web just so that it pops a little bit more, because I felt like it was blending into the background a little too much. So I'm doing that, and I'm creating some kind of sewn looking edges to the paper. Trying to bring all these little details together. And again, I like a messy look, clearly. The mixed media effect is definitely something I love. So I'm just kind of trying it onto my notebook now and seeing how I like it. And now I'm using some of these die cut bats, and one of the little one is a sticker. And I'm playing around with them because I want to add them for a little extra detail, and I'm trying to figure out how I want to get them situated. And then one thing I like to do with these, and anything that flies, like butterflies, I do the same thing where I staple down in the center of it. And then I fold, instead of gluing it down, that way I can fold the wings up and they still, like, they come up off of the page and provide a little dimension. And I've just gotten this is a stapler that I got on Amazon. It's one of the swing line staplers that you can staple the middle of a traveler's notebook with, because it's really allows you to go pretty far in on the paper. And here I'm just adding a few little last touches. This is a chipboard star sticker, and I really like this little spider, and I'm just adding a line like it's coming down from the web. And yeah, I really like how this came together. It was fun to make, you know. It's always fun to really dive into your mixed media supplies and get a little artsy and messy and creative. And it's been a while since I've given myself time to do this, so I'm very happy with how it turned out. And here is a close-up of everything. I put it into the traveler's notebook, and I've just thrown a bunch of die cuts into those pockets. A little trick there, double-sided tape, non-permanent tape. And that's all I've got for you all. And I will see you over on the Simple Stories blog. You can find all the links to the products in the description box below. I'll see you next time. Bye.